OMG, my goodness. Are you ready for 2020 to kind of scurry off? Are you looking forward to the next year like so many of us are doing? Well, I have a special expert on today, and she's going to tell you of what you can do to be empowered in 2021. That's what this show is all about. So, for the first time, Adale Boudreau, the expert as the empowerment coach, is gracing the CaSaundra Jolliff show with her message of empowerment to both women and men. And I am super stoked and excited to have her on the show today. She's coming to us live. For those of you of us who are watching the replay, thanks, sharing the love. I appreciate you watching and sharing this broadcast. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it all as she is coming to us from Canada. Welcome to the CaSaundra Jolliff show. OMG, I've so been looking forward to this show, Adale.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. I mean, we've connected through a mutual community that we both love, and I've seen you in the community, and I think you're a beautiful woman, and I love your energy. And we connected when we were talking about some questions, and yeah, I'm super excited and stoked to be here. Your friend from the north.
Yes. Yes. Now, what part of Canada are you in?
I'm in northern Ontario, so I'm 3.5 hours north of Toronto. So a lot of people think that's way far north, but it's really just the beginning of northern Ontario. It's beautiful here, surrounded by 3 lakes. I live on a lake. We're surrounded by 3 lakes. A lot of Americans love to come north. We've got great fishing. We have tons of ice huts on the lake once it freezes in the winter. So it is a beautiful place to call home. Absolutely.
Wonderful. I've been to Ontario. I've been to Toronto, and went there a couple of times on each. And I really enjoyed Canada. Now, I was surprised that I went one time in the fall. I think it was in September-ish, maybe October-ish. And then I came around back in the spring, and I went to Ottawa and just fell in love with Ottawa. And I like Toronto. And so I'm looking forward to going, I guess, west to like Vancouver and is it British Columbia? You know what I'm saying? So kudos. So I call the Canadians our cousins here in the States. So thank you for being on this show. I have been looking forward to this show for like at least 3 weeks. And I'm gonna tell you so much so that I thought it was last week and I was about to call you. And then I checked my calendar and I was like, OMG, it's the following week. So I had to wait another week, but I have been so looking forward to this. And let me tell you what I really liked about connecting with you during the group that we're a part of entrepreneurs and coaches. And so what it is that I like that you know who you are and you know why you're here and you know what you have value. And you just stood out and you stood up. And I like when I see people who they don't hide in the background and yet they don't flaunt it out front, but they just own it and they just command. And I think that was the one part that really made me take notice to you, not to mention the wisdom and the knowledge that you shared in that segment. And you had my ear from that point on. So I'm so delighted that you decided to grace us with the show today. And I look forward to having you back in 2021. So we're going to dive into it. First of all, before we get started, tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and your background. I know that you are an empowerment coach, but I also like that you're a woman that believes in wisdom and taking care of themselves, and you believe in wealth, and wealth has its definitions to that. So just share with us a little bit about your background, and from there we'll talk about that place of empowerment. How about that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, I've always been the type of person who was into personal development. I remember at 20 buying my first book. I think it was called The Power of Flow, and it talked about you can swim upstream and you can make life really challenging, or you can kind of just learn to go with it. And this is the one thing I've kind of learned through my life. And I do believe that with age comes wisdom. And, the older we get, the more we get it, the more we get what's really important. And, through losing, I worked for a company for 15 years. I was really good at it, but it's what I would refer to as a bad marriage. You have a couple of good years and a couple of bad years. And then I got fired and I was shocked. I was single. I was overweight. I had a mortgage, and it really, everything happens in our life for a reason. And that was really a pivotal point in my life where I really was able to take a step back and think about, okay, why is this happening? Why is God doing this to me, or why is the universe bringing to me this challenge, and what do I do with it? And I took a step back and I realized I wasn't happy. I'd been engaged twice. I wasn't happy with my weight. I'd struggled with that really since early childhood. At this point, I was 36.
Mm-hmm.
And I really I lived to work. I worked major hours. I traveled all of Ontario, 85 stores. So I took a step back and I thought, what do I want for my life? And I decided to make a change. And the first place I wanted to make the change was in losing weight. So I joined this weight loss program. I loved the program so much. I thought, you know what? I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be an entrepreneur, CaSaundra. And I just thought, I'm going to buy myself one of these franchises. It was a Canadian company. There was 350 franchises across the country. And I wanted to buy an existing one that was close to home. My background was sales and fixing up problem areas. So I bought my first one in Toronto. A year later, I bought my second one in my hometown of North Bay. I took that business from 120 grand to $1 million in just over 2 years.
Wow.
I met and married the love of my life in my hometown. He had lived here his whole life, and I moved back home. Yeah, I moved back home after this location really took off. I ended up having both locations for a year. I sold Toronto. I moved home, and my whole life changed in a matter of just a couple of years. And and that's what I like to say to people. I mean, we have no control over what happens in our lives, but we have every control over how we react to it. And I could have just stayed in the same type of business, been hired by somebody else. I think I'd still be overweight and unhealthy. I'd still be living in Toronto. There's a chance that I would still be single, because it was that transformation of weight loss that started my journey of development and empowerment and transformation. Because once I fixed the outside, I really started to focus on the inside. And, why was I not happy with myself, right? Because I do believe that not always, but, often our outside is a reflection of our inside. So if we really learn to love ourselves unconditionally, and that's what I've learned to do. I've learned to love who I am, and I'm loud, and I'm not everybody. And I definitely mellowed as I got older, but I was very opinionated. I'm not as opinionated as I was, but I say it like it is. And sometimes I got to kind of reel myself back in, because, I'm not for everybody. And I don't make excuses for that anymore, because I am who I am. And I would like to help people love who they are and accept who they are, and continue to work on being the best version of themselves, but not for anybody else, not for your partner, not for your parents. You want to be the best version of yourself for yourself and for nobody else's self.
Adale, you have said so much. Let me scurry back at about the part of, you were doing this 9 to 5. You got fired. That in of itself is a blessing. I remember when I got fired. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. Gotta count a little bit, because I've always been an entrepreneur in spirit, and projects that I would take on were primarily entrepreneurial in spirit. And when I worked for corporate America, I just, I could have fit in. I tried to fit in. I didn't fit in, and I didn't want to fit in. And so when, like you talked about, when it comes to a certain part of just age, you decide to take a little bit more of a risk. And some people will either not take the risk and play it safe, right? Or you get people just like the opposite of us who will take the risk because we realize, you know what, we don't know how long we're going to be on the planet and we don't have time to waste. And our life is really, yes, I believe in divine intervention and divine connection. I honestly believe in that, but I also understand that God gives us a will. And by him giving us a will, that we're not robots, he gives us free will and we can make the decisions for our life. And then whether they're positive or not, we got to deal with the repercussions. So based on things in the past, when you look at it like, man, I got to make some changes. I want to see my life and envision your life and empower myself through decisions. And I think the one thing that really comes to mind when I think about you as an empowerment coach, as an expert in space, is the power of decision. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that. You made a decision to change your life and look what happened out of it. You started a new business and businesses. You went from 6 figures to multiple 7 figures. And then you met the love of your life. And this man was in the same town. I'm trying to figure out how'd you guys not see each other, know each other prior to then. But I guess that's where it goes back to making decisions based on not just your circumstances, but what it is that you want to see and how it is you want to live. Tell us a little bit about your choices and why did you make some of the decisions that you do, and how are you helping others going forward that you're paying it forward through your practice as a coach?
Yeah, well, I think what happens to a lot of people is they allow fear. They allow fear to kind of keep them stuck because I just bought actually my stepdaughter. I just bought my stepdaughter this great book, and it's the what if book, because we can spend so much time thinking about what if this happens? It's like, what if I buy the business and it fails? And then you get on this tangent about all the negative, like we just think of everything as a what if, as everything that's going to go wrong. And it's interesting. I remember reading a study just about 3 or 4 months ago when it was a study in Oxford, England, and they asked like 3,000 seniors who were near the end of their lives, what's the one thing that you regret that you would go back and you would change? And it was, I would not worry. I spent so much of my life worrying. And what does it get you? It gets you nowhere. So yeah. Was it scary? I mean, here I was single. I had a mortgage. I had a car. All of a sudden, I'm unemployed. Sure, I got a good package, but I decided to buy a business, and I'm buying a business that isn't successful. I'm buying a location that isn't successful. And, but I believed in myself. I believed in my ability. I believed in the program, and you got to believe in yourself. And I believed that what I had to offer to help people change their lives and lose weight, because I had lived that for so long, and I had this program that worked but only if you got out of your own way and didn't sabotage yourself. And I remember to this day, the very first client I had that didn't succeed on this program, I was like, whoa, I can still picture. I can't remember her name, but I know exactly what she looks like. And I thought, how is this possible? I know this program works. I've seen it. You just got to follow it. But that was the real beginning to me about really understanding mindset, and that our mind, so many people, CaSaundra, they think that we are our mind, but we're not our mind. We're not our body. We're our spirit. We're our soul. And we're just in this. And your mindset, we're all going to have negative thoughts. We're wired that way. We still have that caveman brain where it's like, is there danger? Where's the saber-toothed tiger that's going to come and eat me up? But instead of the tiger, it's the coworker, it's whatever, right? It's the person in the vehicle next to us. We still have this
It's your
fear.
past.
What's that?
I say it's also your past. It's
Oh,
about
yes.
people, family, friends, what people are going to say, what people are going to think, your colleagues, coworkers, neighbors, how it is, strangers,
Yeah.
what people are going to say that sometimes we are concerned about and really don't need to be concerned about that at all,
No.
especially now.
Yeah, it's about learning to let that go. And I think that, I mean, yes, it comes with age, but I think it comes with training. And I mean, I've definitely done a lot of that on myself, right? And I believe that what makes somebody a great coach is you should be coaching in your niche, should be about your experiences, the life that you've lived. And, I've proven that I can master my mindset. I have come up with many, many obstacles in my life, and I've been able to overcome them and rise above it. And it's really just been because I haven't let this control me. Sure, I have negative thoughts like everybody else, but I've learned how to, when we can begin, CaSaundra, to recognize the thought, okay, I'm having a negative thought badly about me. I'm worried about what someone thinks. I'm worried about how I look on camera. I'm worried about, when you can recognize that you're having those thoughts, that's the beginning of being able to change the thoughts. But you have to be able to recognize it first.
I love what you said, to master your mindset. And that's really where that empowerment comes from. Don't you think to be empowered, you got to change something up here that changes something in here that then starts changing something out here through here, and then it packs all of this right here to bring about the change that you're looking to make. So by you being the empowerment coach, what are some of the things that you talk to your clients about? Like, what if somebody that wants to change the game for 2021, like we all came up in 2020, like, this is the year, this is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I was that way. I was so geeked. I was so excited, and bam, the world turned in a matter of several weeks, so going into 2021, what are some of the things that you would share with the audience? And those of you who are catching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Let us know where you're coming from. You've got questions. Hey, Adale, she has answers. So if you got a question, make sure you put your question or definitely your comment in there. Let us know where you're coming from. We want to know, and she'll be able to follow through back with you with your questions. So ask the hard questions, ask the fun questions, ask the necessary questions that can help you set your mind up to empower yourself for not just success, but prosperity, not just prosperity, but just joy, life, and peace on a whole nother level, in spite of whatever is ahead of us in 2021. So tell us, how can we empower ourselves, Adale, going forward in 2021?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, because I did do a video about it today. And, the first thing that we need to do is we need to set goals for ourselves, and whether some people feel like, I don't want to set a goal, I want to set an intention, but regardless of what you call it, you need to set them, because, what do you want to achieve, first of all? And I, of course, believe that putting it on paper is key. And one of my big trainings, and one of the big thing I took away when I took my coaching through the Certified Coaches Federation, is to learn how to create what we refer to as a life script. So I took my training almost at 5 years now since I took my training, CaSaundra. So you write out how you want your life to be as if it's already happened. And so you write everything. Like, for example, mine is right now, it's something like, I feel energized. I have more energy than I've ever thought possible. Abundance comes to me. I make connections with people. People come into my life that empower me, and I help them and they help me. So whatever you want. And I do every aspect. I talk about how great my marriage is. So I talk about my wealth, and I talk about everything as if it's happened. So then you record this into your phone, but you record it. So it might only be like maybe 10 lines, but you record it, you repeat it 10 times, because the brain, CaSaundra, doesn't know what's real and what's imagined.
That's what they say. It doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined, which is sometimes when we think about our imagination, if we think of something bad, we start having these impacts or these emotions or whatever it is that could be negative, or what could be actually positive that we're thinking. And then it brings a joy or a sense of confidence. So you're right, the brain doesn't know, according to the scientists, what's the difference that's what's real and not real. So that tells us the power of our brain and how it could bring transformation and manifestation into the thing that we really do want to receive and reach. That's some good stuff.
Absolutely. So you want to write out what you want, how you want your life to be, and you want to record it, and you want to listen to it, preferably with headphones. I listen to it before I go to sleep every night and when I wake up every morning. And I've been doing that for 5 years. And it's interesting because when I objectively listen, and you know what, your script changes as you manifest things in your life, you adjust. So, but I've been listening to the same script since last January. And when I listen to it, CaSaundra, everything in there, it is happening in my life. It's amazing. And so that's the first thing I would say to people. Write yourself a life script and record it and listen to it.
And record it. That is strong. Well, we've got some great comments here. One of our fellow colleagues that are part of our group there is Arthur Milton Porter. And so he's a good friend of mine. And Arthur says here, another great show with another great guest. And oh, yes, she is indeed. Let's get ready for 2021. I concur. I agree with you, Arthur. And that's why we have Adale on the show. And Adale, I'm just going to let you know right now. I do expect for you to come back on the show in January to help us, right? Get not just, today is sharing tips about what to do to kind of get you ready for 2021 and how to be empowered. But the next thing is when 2020 arrives, okay? 2020 arrives, what are some other key things I want you to keep in mind for that show that can help us kind of expedite certain situations a little bit? Those are the things that I want to know. Like, what can I do to kind of expedite things a little bit? And then when things are jammed up like a jammed up cookie, what can I do to change it quickly, so that I can get the results that I want to have? But I love what you talked about, the life script, and writing it down and saying that life script over and over and over again, and finding, creating that intention and being purposeful to get it done.
Yes. There's so much that people don't understand about the brain, CaSaundra, and that, I'm a big lover of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he's got quite a few books, but I love his, rewiring the brain. And, and the thing is, there's so many studies. They do these studies with people where, they teach people how to play the piano by just thinking of it. They're not actually playing the keys. And those people can play the piano as good as somebody actually learning to play the piano, because it's what you're telling your brain. So it's really about telling your brain what you want to see happen. And if you look at all the top producers, when you look at all the top CEOs and movie stars, they will all talk about, they might not call it a life script, but they'll talk about it, how they are manifesting. And it's about writing out your intention and writing it out. And then I think it's the consistency. So whether you're into affirmations or writing in your journal, there's so much proof about gratitude, and gratitude does so much to our energy that we should be giving gratitude every single day. So I have a practice when I wake up in the morning, as I'm lying in bed, I just say out loud to myself, what are 3 things today that I'm grateful for? And everybody can find something to be grateful for. Whether it's just a roof over their head, some food in the fridge, there's so much. And when we give gratitude from an energy standpoint, we're putting out this great energy. And people don't realize that we create our own reality. And people say, why is my life going so bad? Why are all these bad things happening to me? It's because we're putting energy out that's bringing that energy back to us.
That is so true. What you put out, you get back. And so if you're putting out negativity, you're gonna get that negative energy back. If you're putting out things that are positive, things that are faith and believable, you're gonna get that back. And I want to make a quick change here because I totally chopped up the name consistency. So I'm going to make the change so it can be consistent with its correct spelling. So is that you talk about consistency. Can you speak to that a little bit more about what we can do for those of us who might be stuck in the procrastination nation and what we can do to be more consistent to gain that consistency? Because that consistency does create momentum.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it comes down to recognizing, because when you really look at procrastination, Cassandra, most people don't realize that procrastination is really fear.
That's it.
Hidden in procrastination, you're doing something off because you're afraid. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid of the outcome. You're afraid that you don't have the information to execute it. You're afraid how you will look. So it really is just fear. That's what procrastination is. And what's the worst thing? Like, everything we want in life is on the other side of fear. And what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, really? I always say to myself, is it life or death? No, then just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Just like Nike said, there was something in that slogan that, I remember when I first heard the slogan, like back in the day, the early 80s, I think it was. I think I was in either I probably was in junior high by then or something like that. And I remember seeing Nike and they were talking about the just do it. And, we thought it was cool. That's 80s. You know how that is. It was cool. It's different. But it's a lot of truth to it. Is just do it. If you just do it, you will figure it out. But I think what goes back to what you said is that procrastination is just a long word for fear.
Yeah.
And if you think about how long the word is of procrastination in comparison to the word fear in the short 4 letters, that's what happens with our life. When we prolong things, when we're operating in fear, when we're living things out, it takes our life longer to have successes, or longer to have a change, because we keep mingling, living, cohabitating with fear versus belief, versus seeing something positive and doing what is necessary, being consistent to become consistent. Taking imperfect action consistently is better than waiting to take perfect action every now and again.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And that's what people are afraid of. People are afraid. They're afraid that they don't have all the information, and they want to have all their ducks in a row before they take action. And you have to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I think that we live in denial a lot, like we are afraid to kind of be truthful with ourselves. And the one thing, kind of off topic, but not really, is people want to achieve something in their life, but they come home every day, they have dinner, they sit on the couch, they watch TV, and they fall into this habit, right? And, people don't realize that to really go after what you want in life, you need energy to do that. And where does energy come from? It comes from taking care of our body. It comes from eating clean, staying away from processed food. It takes working your body. And you will never see somebody usually super, super successful that isn't taking care of the body that God gave them and putting the proper nourishment into it. And, I hate exercise, but I understand the importance of it. And, we need that. We need energy to execute. And how do we get energy if we're coming home, eating crappy food, sitting on the couch? So it's this whole thing. And, I was in my video today, I was talking about the fact that most people give a goal or an intention for the new year to lose weight. That's very common. But by February, they're not going to the gym anymore, right? That's very common. It's because they're not holding themselves accountable to their goals. And I think if they wrote it out and they wrote out a life script about, this is what I'm weighing now, this is what I'm feeling, I have all this energy, I'm doing all this to get it, that goes such a long way. And when people are honest with themselves and will say, you know what, I'm not doing what I said I would do, then they need to reach out. They need to hire a personal trainer. They need to hire a coach. They need to hire a business coach. They need to hire a coach that understands digital marketing. They need to find an expert to reach out and take them by their hand and help guide them to what they want. No, nobody can do it alone.
No one can do it alone.
Nobody. So reach out.
You said something, the word accountability. And I'll tell you something. I know it's good to have accountability. I believe in it. But I also understand we wrestle with the word accountability of the doing. Some people are like totally embracing and they're in, right? Then there's other ones kind of like myself. I know it's a good thing to do. I know it's a good thing to have. But there's this thing I think of, and correct me if I'm wrong, or certainly enlighten us on it, because I feel like accountability is extremely powerful when you're consistent with it. It can change the game of your life. It can change the game of your business, your ministry, your cause, all of that, right? Absolutely. But there's something in our nature that wants to rebel against the accountability of the mindset of I'm reporting to someone. It's not that you're reporting with someone, you're collaborating with someone, your energy, your time, your talent, your focus, your words that you said you wanted to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I'm coming in and partnering with you in your words.
Yeah.
And what happens is that we get challenged by the accountability partner who's partnered with us for our sake, not theirs. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think this natural kind of, I'm going to use the rebellion. I'm going to use the word rebellion, kind of rebel against, even though you know it's good for you. It's just like a kid who really doesn't eat the iron, and they probably should eat the spinach, but they want to eat something else. And so they'll just leave the spinach on their plate, let it get cold and play with it. And, and if you got a good mama, all right, that's going to just say, you know what, you're going to eat that cold spinach because it's going to be good for you because you need the iron. You need the energy, you need all of that. So you're going to go ahead and eat that spinach because you said you wanted the spinach. I gave you a couple of choices. Usually I don't give you a choice, but I gave you a couple of choices. Did you want spinach or did you want some broccoli? Okay, and you didn't want the broccoli. You said, I want the spinach. And now I gave you the spinach. And so you need to eat the spinach because the spinach is really going to be good for you. And I think that's the same way it is with accountability. When we make ourselves accountable to other people, we struggle with the letting go and the because the letting go is really not giving up. It's really getting, but you're really, you're holding yourself accountable to someone who has your best interest based on your goals in mind that you said you wanted. So what can we do to change that mindset for those of us who kind of, because I have moments where I'm like, accountability, yes, I'm in, and I do the necessary. But then I have moments where I'm like, I don't want to be accountable to nobody right now because they're going to hold me accountable to what I said and what I said I was going to do. And right now, I just don't feel like doing all that. But my words matter and my actions matter. So for those of us who teeter-totter and are not the perfect ones who get it right all the time, because nobody does, right? What can you say to those of us who need to embrace accountability more?
Well, as you were talking about that, I was just kind of thinking, because I know for myself, I've always been really good at holding myself accountable. Mm-hmm. But like you said, we're all human. And, what I love about having my own coach, because I believe that everybody should have a coach and a coach should have a coach because we all need somebody that can look objectively at our lives. It's hard for us to be objective. To look objectively at our life and call us out on the stuff that we say that we're going to do. But I hate to kind of say the same thing, but I think a lot of accountability, it does come down to fear because, for example, if you have a client that says that they want to lose 100 pounds and they want your help, and you start asking them, send me what you're eating every day, send me, your workout routine, and then all of a sudden they don't want to do it. It's because they're afraid. They're afraid to put in the work. They're afraid that they're going to be sore. They're afraid that they can't be successful. And a lot of it is fear of not being successful, right? So
fear of failure.
It really does come down to fear of failure. So, that's why so many people live their lives on the couch, because what if I go after what I want and I'm not successful? Well, who cares? The only way you really fail is when you stop getting back up.
Ooh, Jiminy Crickets, that's delicious. Girl, look, you hit me with a Bammy. Okay, here it is. Bam. Let me bring it on the screen. Bam. OMG, stop living your life on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
That's strong. Yeah. And many of us, are doing that. We can't afford, listen, nobody really can afford to do that. I don't care what age you are. I don't care if you're in your 20s, your 30s, but somewhere you hit 40s and you hit 50s and you hit 60s and 70s and so on. You cannot afford to live your life on the couch. You use the couch for sitting, not for laying. Mm-hmm. And certainly not for laying for long. Okay. So, oh gosh, this is delicious. I got to ask you, Dale. Okay. I want you to come back on the show, and I want you to talk about the next level of empowerment, and really, sharing with the audience to shift the fear so that you can be empowered for 2021. Because right now, a lot of stuff in society is so flip-flopping, fear-driven right now, with the pandemic and the economy and just, things like that. And don't get me wrong, everybody, we're living it out the best way we can. But I have never been in a time in my life where everything appears to be so fear-driven based that it's ridiculous. So I want you to speak to that.
CaSaundra, when you come home and you turn on the news, people don't realize that the news, it's paid by advertisers. It's sensationalism. It's sure, there's facts, but there's a lot of fiction. There's so much fiction in news. And the worst thing that you can do for yourself is to come home and turn on the news. I have not watched the news. Seriously, I do not watch the news. I probably haven't watched the news in 15 years. Why?
Wow.
Most of it it's just about selling. It's just about selling something. So we want all these people to tune in. And then when you put all this energy, all this negative energy that's coming at you through the TV, all this, death and destruction. There's also lots of good in the world. And, with the pandemic, again, I started at the beginning of the show saying that we have no control over what happens in our lives, what happens around us, but we have every bit of control as how we react to it and how we deal with it. And I'd be curious to ask your viewers, COVID was an opportunity to really take a look at your life and to really kind of reset. It was an opportunity. We had no choice but to sit back. So did we sit back and live the next 9 months or 6 months or 3 months on the couch? Or did we take that time to reflect and say, okay, my life has been like this. All these things have not been happening in my life, but I want my life to be like this. What am I prepared to do? What is the shift that I'm prepared to make? What is the work I'm prepared to do? And we all have been through the same thing. It's interesting to see the people that, poor me, my life is terrible. They've gained a ton of weight. And the people who took that opportunity to really reboot, recharge, and re-energize and change their lives and go after something that they've always wanted.
Girl, OMG. See, this is what caught my attention right here. This kind of conversation right here that you were sharing. Okay, all right. So listen, y'all, I'm so full. I can't wait to go back, and I'm going to go back and see this episode. So for those of you who are catching the replay, you are watching the CaSaundra Jolliff Show. Thank you for watching. I do want you to make sure that you comment. Let us know where you're coming from. If this broadcast has empowered you, and if it has provoked your biscuits to action, if it has been a blessing to you of hearing like things that you already knew, or maybe you learned something different that you wasn't aware before, we want to hear back. And if you got questions for Adale, feel free to drop the comments there as well. But better yet, why don't you take another step and connect with the empowerment coach, Adale? And this is what I want you to do. I'm going to share with you how to contact her. And then Adale, I want you to share with a little bit of people about, you've been an empowerment coach. Clearly you have your own program and what that looks like and what that's all about. So this is how you can get a hold of her, Adale Boudreau Coaching. I just love it. From one Frenchy last name to the next. Okay. And then share a little bit about what it is about your program, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Coaching.
Well, I love to work with people one-on-one. I don't have a group coaching program. I work with people one-on-one. So, I have different levels of my program. If people just have one thing that they want help with, maybe they want to work with me for 3 months. I have a 3-month program, a 6-month program, and then I have a year program, which is Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. So, I'm a member of Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. I have my own coach through Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. I have clients that I coach through Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. So Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise is about living a full life, learning how to get out of your own way. We have webinars like from after this at 8:00, I'm going on to a live webinar on physical wealth. So it's all about nutrition. We have webinars on coaching wealth. We have webinars on emotional wealth, on spiritual wealth. So we have webinars every week on that. Plus we have tons of courses. Overcoming Fear, that's a great course. Sales Mastery. We have courses on everything. So we have everything covered for somebody who's looking to learn to live a big life. We also have state-of-the-art research on stock information. We don't give advice. You invest for yourself. And I'll tell you, CaSaundra, one of my items on my list of, my script that I listen to is creating wealth in my life. And I'm doing that through my coaching, but I'm also doing that through my investment. And I talk about COVID. A lot of people lost a lot of money in the stock market. In that 3 months where we had a big crash in the market, I bought and sold and had 150% return on my investment through the research that I was provided. Yes. So people should check out Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. Absolutely. If you want to change your life, if you want a coach to hold you accountable, if you want to work on multiple areas of your life, I will be your coach, and you will have me as well as all this information that you will be provided in the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise coaching program. So,
OMG, my goodness, that sounds strong. So you guys, listen, she just shared with you, she shared with you her story. She's talked about what she's done. She's got proof what she is doing on the financial end, on the health end, on the emotional end, the emotional intelligence, all of that mindset, physical, all that spiritual, all of that. So listen, a coach needs a coach. And if you don't have a coach, you need a coach to get to the next level. You need to make that investment into yourself. Don't wait necessarily to 2021. Go ahead and make the investment now. I know it's a holiday season, but the best gift that you can give anybody else is a better version of you.
Yeah. And listen, I got to say one more thing, CaSaundra, before we kind of end it, because, when you mention that, a coach needs a coach. And that's the thing, we all need somebody to help inspire us. So just a quick little story, as a 56 46-year-old woman who hit menopause at 49, you know, I had lost and maintained my weight through my weight loss program, but I started to slowly gain weight from 49 to last year. Couple pounds. All of a sudden I'm up 20 pounds. And I had a mindset that believed that as a menopausal woman, I couldn't lose weight, that I was just going to be a little chunky because I was in menopause. And I had this mindset for a long time. And then through the work, through the inner work, and through having a coach, I worked through that. And through COVID, since COVID in April, I have lost 22 pounds.
What?
By changing my mindset and believing that menopause wasn't going to keep this chickie down, and I could be, do, and have anything. And I have the body that I had at, you know, when I first did my program at 38. So pretty excited about that. And it's all mindset, and it's belief in your ability that you really can be, do, and have anything you want in life. You need to believe it. You need to step through the fear, because everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything you want, and you just got to go after it.
That is how we connected when you said that statement. You said that statement in a broadcast that we were a part of, and I said, that's it. I got to reach out to this chick. Everything you want, listen, viewer, peeps, everything you want is on the other side of fear. And Adale, when you said that to me, that pierced my heart so much that I said, that very day is when I reached out to you. And I'm like, I got to get to know this lady, because there's so much wisdom and in what you said. And I just felt like she needs to be on the show. I want her to be introduced to my viewer, to my peeps, to my following in that regard, as far as my audience is concerned. And so, guys, this is how you can get a hold of her. And I hope I did this right, Adale, and let me know if I didn't, because I'll correct it. So they can reach you on IG and Facebook. Is that correct? Through your name primarily, is that right?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, excellent. And then that's one way. Make sure you messenger her privately, have a conversation, get what you need.
If they want to know a bit more about my story and my packages that I offer, they'll find that on my website, AdaleBoudreauCoaching.com. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, Adale, you have blessed my socks off today just by the things that you've shared. I'm looking forward to catching the replay myself, because I'm sure there's other things that are going to come out of that as a result of listening again. That's why it's always good to repeat, okay, to have a rerun, all right, because there's something that you didn't get out of the first time you saw the show. And then when you catch the rerun of any show, you're like, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that there. I didn't see that there. I didn't hear that then. So that's the same way it is with here. So first of all, Adale, thank you for being a guest on the show. You have definitely left your mark here by sharing your wisdom and just what you said, and your journey has been for the good. And so I appreciate you being a part of the show, and I look forward to definitely having you coming back.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I hope that, you know, there's some, maybe one, even just one aha moment that your viewers had from our discussion tonight. And, you know, I'm definitely excited for, you know, coming on your show in January. I want to wish everybody a really safe holiday season. And remember, you can't control what happens around you in your life, but you can control how you react to that. So just remember that.
Excellent. All right, guys, as always, you know that you're going to have significant success on purpose, your purpose. So we'll see you guys again. And thank you once again, Adale. I love connecting with you, and I look forward to having you back in January.